An old Cherokee is teaching his grandson about life. "A fight is going on inside of me," he said to the boy. "It's a terrible fight, and it's between two wolves. One is evil. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego." He continued, "The other one is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The same fight is going on inside you and inside every other person too." The grandson thought about it for a minute and then asked his grandfather, "Which wolf will win?" The old Cherokee replied, "The one you feed." That's a Native American Cherokee story. I wanted to start out today's last episode with the story that I started this video blog with, which is really the battle between good and evil that we all have going on inside ourselves. That's taking different forms. I thought it'd be a nice way to circle back and encompass all of what we've been talking about on this show. So, welcome to the show. I'm Jessica Disbrow, licensed social worker and founder of Higher Consciousness Healing, an innovative mental health practice in Lakewood, Colorado. And we're actually going to be closing our doors because I will be moving on to the next part of my career, which I'm really excited to share with everyone about at the end of this episode. But for now, we're going to be going through, I've narrowed it down to 5 major things that we've talked about throughout this video blog. This is our 44th episode, so I've been doing this almost a year now, and we've covered a lot of things, but I've narrowed it down to 5 that I want to just recap for you all. And then I'm going to be talking for the second half about intentional living, which is how we can really embody some of these values and beliefs in our everyday life and living. So, I did want to say also that I'm actually really sad that I'm airing this episode early because I'm at a training this weekend and I won't be able to air this episode live on my business page. So I do apologize for that. It slipped my mind last week during the live show, and I am really sad that I won't be here with you in live time. But there are going to be other video blogs to come in my new business venture, so more on that at the end. So the 5 major things that we've been talking about throughout this video blog, which is a video blog that's about mental health topics from a spiritual and scientific perspective. Number 1. I think all of these are really important, but being present is like key. It's really key to everything else because it's about building that self-awareness and that consciousness in the present moment, because that's where it has to happen. Because life is happening right now. Life isn't happening in the past. It's not happening in the future, and it's definitely not happening in your head. I mean, it is kind of in a way happening in your head because everything is, but when we're stuck in our minds and our ego-driven thought patterns, and we're not actually embracing what's happening outside of ourselves and the beautiful gift that we have called the presence, it's not really living at that point. You're being stuck in your head, and That's why being present is just really key. Number 2, take care of yourself first. It's so important. It's just like in an airplane when they tell you to put the oxygen mask on first before you help others, including children. If we don't take care of ourselves, we're no good to anybody else. It gets all screwed up, and then we're resenting the people we're trying to help, and we're being enabling, and it just gets really messy. So like, just take care of you first and recognize when you can give to others, and have that giving really be unconditional. Number 3, if presence is the key, love is the lock. Unconditional love is incredibly important. I would even argue that it's all there is, because fear is so much an illusion that what's left is love. And having that love be really unconditional for ourselves and others, it really builds something special in our lives that we can all embrace and enjoy. And loving ourselves first is really important, because until we really give that unconditional love to us, it's very hard to give that unconditional love to other people, because we're our own worst critic. We really are. We know everything that's going on inside our heads and in our actions, and we beat up on ourselves all the time. And so if we can't show unconditional love for us, we're going to just repeat those same patterns with other people. We're going to be hard on them. We're going to be critical on them. And let's just go for unconditional love instead, because it's really a beautiful thing that I believe everyone should be embracing. All right, number 4, understanding our ego mind and the manifestations of fear. So I like to say that our ego is the person we think we are, or our preferences, or our experiences, and it's really none of that. We're really something greater. We're really spirit, and our ego is a manifestation of fear, basically, and all of that anxiety and isolation and negative thoughts that are coming from our mind, from our ego mind, they really just don't serve us. They're here as learning tools, and it's helped us survive in a lot of ways. But I believe that the human consciousness is moving past fear into a more love-based reality. And so when we can see our ego for what it is, which a lot of times is just pre-programmed brain patterns based on our previous experiences, it's not really us. It's not the true us that we are underneath. Number 5, trusting the universe, God, whatever you personally want to call it. We've talked about the collective unconscious, that we're actually all really tapped in and connected in a really deep way. And through this collective unconscious and collective consciousness, we can find a new level of faith, because we're really understanding a lot of things unconsciously and at a deeper level. We can kind of have trust and faith that things are going to work out, that the people that we need in our life are going to show up when we need them, and same with the things that we might need in our lives. And really just having a deeper level of faith and understanding that things are always working out for the best, even when it doesn't look like that. When it looks like pain and trauma and suffering, what do we do with that? Well, it's about taking a different perspective and trusting that this is the lesson that you need to learn right now, and that everything's going to be good, really. So those are the 5 that kind of summarize this whole video blog, and really a lot of the teachings that I feel passionate to teach to others and to help people understand on a deeper level. So thank you for being part of this. If you've watched the previous episodes up until now, it's been quite the journey. All right, and now on to the bulk of our last episode, which is on intentional living. So what is intentional living? Well, we've talked about a lot of values and beliefs through this whole video blog, and intentional living is living an intentional, conscious lifestyle based on your personal beliefs and values. So it's all about you, what you value, what you believe, what you decide is best for you, and it's what everything you do in all moments. So it's kind of like this really big thing that for a lot of people, they're not really living that intentionally. You know, they're doing their best, and we're all doing our best. But to really live intentionally and be thoughtful in each moment, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of consciousness. It takes a lot of awareness. And we have to build that up over time. But that's the goal, is to be really aware and conscious in every moment so that everything you're doing aligns with your personal values and beliefs. That would be great, right? Something to recognize is that when we are really living from our personal values and belief systems, that might not jive with other people or like what society says is normal. And that's totally okay. It's okay to live outside the box. It's really good for us to be making these decisions for ourselves because nobody can make them for us. Really. Why is intentional living hard to do? The biggest barrier, I think, to any of this consciousness work is our procedural memory. And that's basically the unconscious mind replaying programs and patterns that were learned earlier on in our life, usually childhood. And this is happening on an unconscious level. It said that the training I'm actually in this coming weekend from Trauma Dynamics in Boulder, they say that 90 to 95% of our behavior is coming from our procedural memory, our unconscious procedural memory. That means that we're walking around like robots, just replaying whatever the program is. So like something happens in our life and we just replay what we did earlier on in our life again without being aware of it. It's scary, man. I mean, we got a lot of people who aren't aware of this. This is why, you know, in my show I've called it the unconsciousness or lower consciousness, because that's what's happening. So by building awareness around this day by day, moment by moment, we can override our procedural memory. And our procedural memory, this is why it's so hard to make changes in our daily habits, because we just automatically do what we've always done. We just do it. And like, that's it. So deep breaths, all about that present moment, and learning to override our procedural memory and picking up on the patterns and habits that we have that we don't like and that we want to change. So how do we do this? How do we live with intention? How do we override our procedural memory? It's about awareness and understanding where your actions are coming from and what consequences those actions have. So things that you're doing that are not serving you, the people around you, or the planet. An example of this that I kind of get hung up on because it's just really not aligning with my values and I don't really know what to do about it. But it's just small things. Like every time I throw something in the garbage, I'm like, that's like just going in the earth. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's just going to be going in a landfill and there's like so much trash on the planet. And like, I'm not living in a place like Sweden where like we're importing trash from other countries because we need it to continue our recycling program. Like, I would love to be living in a country that was that responsible, but I'm not. And it hurts me a little bit every time I throw something in the trash. So it's about being fully aware of things that are no longer aligning with your values. So what I do, I try and reduce, reuse, and recycle in that order, because that's what really aligns with my values. So it's about thinking about those daily actions that you're doing and whether it aligns with your values and your beliefs. That's really it. I mean, it ends up being like a big ball of yarn that's hard to untangle because it's like so many things that we're doing daily, and a lot of times we're not even thinking about it. But it's really important to understand. Some examples of intentional living and different kinds of like groups of people who are embracing the same idea but in different ways. There's a lot of people who are embracing minimalism, which I think is really cool. There's like a whole minimalist culture about minimizing what we buy, what we have in our life, and really making sure we have a clean, healthy space for ourselves outside of ourselves. And then there's also like internal minimalism, or even cyber minimalism, which is like making sure that we have like don't have like thousands of unread emails in our inbox, that we're really addressing things in a minimalist way in all parts of our life. So that's a really great example. People who are really wanting to help the earth by doing eco-friendly things, recycling, like I was just talking about, reduce, reuse, recycle. People who are really embracing that in their daily lives and trying to minimize their waste as much as possible. Another great example of a group of people who are intentionally living by some of the actions they're doing are vegetarians and vegans. Their belief is that, they have lots of different beliefs, so I don't want to summarize a whole group of people, but a lot of them don't believe in hurting or killing animals for our own benefit, right? For being eaten. So that's a really great example of them taking a belief or value and incorporating it into their daily life and living with intention. So those are just to give you some ideas of how different people are going about intentional living. And there's whole groups of people who are now building earth ships, which are eco-friendly forms of housing, and really stepping outside the box of what is culturally normal in the society, which is unfortunately a lot of materialism and a lot of waste that's going on. So it's about identifying what your personal values and beliefs are and incorporating that into your everyday life as much as possible. Deciding what's really right for you. All right. That wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. I couldn't do this without you, and I'm really jazzed to be starting the next part of my career, which I'm going to talk for a few minutes about. I've decided to leave the mental health world. It's taught me so much, along with my social work career, which has just given me so many amazing lessons around social justice and our social problems that we're having, our psychological problems that we're having. And it's really brought me to a place of deep understanding, both personally and with what's going on in our world and in our society. I have become very spiritual. It definitely took me by surprise. I had a pretty intense spiritual awakening a couple years ago when my mom died in a car accident. It just spun me in a whole other direction. And I've just been embracing more and more spiritual practices, and it's been really enlightening. And that's really shifted how I'm doing my work, basically. And I'm finding that I no longer fit under the umbrella of mental health, and that I need to move forward with myself as a career person. You get what I mean. So I will be starting another business as a spiritual mentor and teacher for millennials. Really excited to be doing this with my soulmate and life partner who's going to be joining me on this adventure. Really excited to be doing that as we really carve out the life that we want, the work that we really feel passionate about doing, and being the light that we can inspire others with. So mentoring is all about mentoring from your own experience, and that's really what I'm all about. And that doesn't really jive super well with therapy. So I'm stepping outside the box to create a spiritual mentoring business. What does that mean? We're going to be working with people individually and in groups. We're going to be continuing our spiritual support group for millennials that we have here in Denver, Colorado every month. It's been going really well and has really helped me to see what I need to be doing next with my career. So we'll be supporting millennials to be spiritually embodied and really teaching what we found has been helpful for us and our learning, and really giving people the tools that they need to further their enlightenment. So it's about using everyday life as a tool and as a learning experience, because that's what we've been doing and that's what we're really excited to teach everyone. So it's always a little scary making a shift and transition, but I feel really good about this. And I feel this is what's right for me. And I hope that for those of you in the audience who it resonates with, that you'll continue watching and see what's happening next. And if this no longer resonates with you, that's completely fine. I understand. We're definitely going to be going in a little bit of a different direction. So stay tuned, figure out if you like it, if you don't. Either way, it's all about what's right for you. Absolutely, in every moment. So thank you so much for watching. So much to come. I'm really grateful for this experience of doing these 44 video blog episodes. It's given me so much to think about, and I hope you all have enjoyed it too. Until next time, everyone, take care.